like so many of you, got cut from an AI training project last week. I was a little upset. I was just like, it was my second one, and I actually kind of liked it. My name's Chris. I'm a systems engineer. These days I kind of focus in the domain of data science. But I focus in on infrastructure. Got my start in security, and I've touched everything. Systems administration, Linux systems engineering. I'm a systems engineer. I'm not a software engineer, but definitely got my start in technology as a teenager, just kind of hacking with Linux. I'm definitely a Linux aficionado. And anyway, I was kind of bummed. And so last Saturday, I ended up, typing in, I think, maybe Friday, Saturday, whatever. Ended up typing, handshake on Facebook. And I was like, oh, came across something kind of suspicious. And I was like, I ended up posting it in the official, Handshake AI account, Facebook group. And let me pull this back up because I did do this. Let me show you this in real time. There we go. So this is actually what we posted. This is a sock puppet account. What I notice here, and I don't know if it's going to get the response the other one did, but down here, oh, you can see it. I don't have to do that. Down here, in this like insight section, let me go to the numbers. What I noticed within 3 minutes of this post, it had like 200 views. It was like 10 to 15% of the viewers in the ones that they were from like Nigeria, Kenya, and I was like, and that set off a red flag in my head. It set off a red flag. Why? Here, I'll tell you why. Because in the mid '90s, we gave rise, what we call the Nigerian 419 scam. That is what we refer to. Hi, my name is Prince Alibaba. I have $30 million. They send you an email. If you help me get it to the U.S., I'll give you half. That is what we call a 419 scam. Nigerian 419 scam because it originates, based on the section of the Nigerian legal code that deals with I don't know what, but that's the thing. And the thing about these scams is that they were so low tech that we could not track them. That it was almost impossible for U.S. law enforcement to take any real serious action because of we have no real official, no real official capacity to press charges or bring charges to people in that part of the world just because we don't have whatever those agreements are called with the government. Second, corruption. And three, it's not going to happen. And one of the standout characteristics of these Nigerian 419 scams, too, is that they were low tech. They did not involve super hackers. They were just people sitting in front of a computer, manually sending emails and scamming people out of tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars a year with saying, hey, my name is Prince Alibaba and I have 30 million. Really? I mean, common sense, but people still fall for it. Anyway, I also took a closer look at Facebook, and I was sitting there, and I was like, this looks a little suspicious. We'll see it in a minute. And I noticed this. I was like, if we go back to Facebook, the first thing I saw was this. And we're going to go to groups. I was like, Handshake AI, USA, what the hell is this? And what do you see? Available three-piece. What is this? They're legitimate groups of people selling account credentials to Outlier AI, to Handshake AI, to Mercor. And I was like, what? Like, this is just a public Facebook group. I was on my phone when I saw this. So what I ended up doing is I immediately came home. And I was like, okay, this is kind of sketch. What's going on here? So I'm definitely a Linux aficionado, so I do use Linux as my everyday driver. But anyway, doing a little bit of a different thing with this workflow. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and this is what I found, is that when I first signed up, for these platforms and heard about them, I was really kind of apprehensive at first because of things like, where is it? This. Has anyone else gotten scammed? Handshake AI is a scam. All of these posts saying these platforms were a scam. And it made me really weird. But what they're legitimate platforms. What I now know is this: is that let's go take a look at what is in these public Facebook groups. So this is a big one, 853 members. This is just public. Anybody can look at this. What is in here? Let's refresh the page. It's maybe an hour or two old. I don't know what that is. Brand new. They're literally selling access to these platforms. Verification is still ongoing. And they are selling access to these platforms by people who should not have access to it so that, they can use them to make money abroad. Because as far as I'm aware, Handshake AI and many of these large-scale projects are only allowed to be operated by people within certain jurisdictions, within the US. I don't think they have any international openings, but, this applies to all of these data platforms. So here's like Project Diamond, $75, pay to get access to this. Here's another one. Like they're literally selling legitimate access to these accounts to anybody who wants it in these public Facebook groups. That was the first red flag that kind of set off. I'm curious. Why are we using these public Facebook groups? I spent about a day and a half kind of going through the cybercrime marketplaces of the dark web. I could find none of this activity. And I looked, I really did look. I had suspected something with, the amount of people abusing the platform, unauthorized access using proxies. What I wasn't expecting is just how open they put it here. This is another group right here. Which group is this? Same one. But they're all over the place. They're all over Facebook. So we're going to go back to, let's go over here. These are all different groups. Handshake AI, US and UK, about. When was this group created? December 19th. And these are active groups. I will encourage anyone reading this, shut up. They have, how do you say, this is not, sophisticated IRC back channel hacker comms like I was really expecting. They are using very simple technology in order to rapidly offer these accounts for sale to people who are unauthorized on the platforms, and that is why you get booted. Because so many things that you can have on your system can trigger, different digital profiles, or I'm going to say digital fingerprinting profiles, is a legitimate US data annotator or AI trainer on a platform that may make it look suspicious, like you may have a potential IP, that you may have somebody remoting into your system. Particularly system latency, if you're using a work computer or a school computer with a profile installed on it, any system with a mobile device management system, these are typically issued by employers to employees to secure their enterprise devices or their enterprise data. But you can also find them for any number of cases. It's very common for students to have MDM profiles installed on their system, just to safeguard the school's infrastructure. But the way the digital fingerprints work on the system is they can trigger false positives. And it's the rapid amount of these groups and how low-tech they are in the thousands, I mean tens of thousands of these people in, I'm saying largely Africa. This is at least for now, this is the closest thing to the new Nigerian 419 scam that I've seen. It is insane. Because they are legitimately sitting here leasing access to these accounts. And then the systems, the way that they work, these detection systems, is that they can definitely tell nowadays if a digital fingerprint or profile, is going to be from abroad. Are they using a proxy? What is the latency of these input devices? I mean, that tells you right then and there, if this is somebody who's connected to a regional edge network, based in the US, and they're connected, to a Comcast is your service provider, and it connects, directly to a local ISP. It's not crisscrossing the ocean going through all of these different nodes. That causes latency. That causes these systems to trigger. And that's why a lot of people, with like work devices, in particular, who may be doing just to kind of get a little bit of a side hustle on a system that has an Indian profile, get flagged and their account gets banned. And that's why you're also not able to get support, is because the amount of these people that are out there doing this, it's just insane. But here's the flip side. Here's where the scammers are socially engineering even the bigger side of this. Because they're the ones that are collectively teaching each other to say, oh, do this. We're going to get loud on these internet forums like Reddit. They're low tech. They're not on the dark web. I don't know if they have that level of sophistication. Almost every single post that you see like this, where it's, has anyone else gotten scammed by Handshake? Handshake AI is a scam, and they have a bunch of people kind of in that thread saying, oh, hey, they owe me $3,000. These are these people that are not based in the US, largely Kenya, Nigeria, that are buying illicit or unapproved access to these accounts, and they're rallying together. I actually was able to get into 3 of their WhatsApp groups, and they collectively do these posts, rally together, and cause a ruckus, so that when somebody is curious of, is this a legitimate thing, they come across this Reddit, and it's all of this loud noise in these Reddit forums that gives these platforms a bad reputation. What also doesn't help their reputation is that due to the prolific nature and just how widespread these things are, the number of people doing this, they do not have the manpower to effectively respond to every single support ticket from somebody based in the US or a legitimate annotator who has been flagged, because they have to spend 98% of their time and resources, that they could have been supporting their actual workers, trying to prevent these people from gaining illicit access to their systems. That's where, it's a bottleneck. It's either, do we support our legitimate workers, or can we take, this flood of, unapproved annotators? And that's what all of these things are. So if you see, has anyone else gotten scammed by one of these platforms, and you see all of these people down here yelling bloody murder, that is a socially engineered response to basically tarnish the brand of these legitimate platforms. One red flag here is that, you are never going to see these posts in, the official Outlier AI or the official Handshake AI. Why? Because those are actually manned by community support, from each of those platforms. It is the remote work, subreddit that you want to stay away from. It is going to be the remote job subreddit that you want to stay away from. But these things are everywhere. And so really, at the end of the day, this is not on the dark web. Really, to combat this and to do it and to do it well, it takes awareness of how these things are done. But it also is about, accountability. Because here's the big one. The only way to counteract this is going to be, to collectively report these things and say, hey, report this group is just an everyday user of the platform. Because they are rising up, creating these massive groups. Like this dude, this one has 800 people, and they literally are claiming in here, it's like, oh, I'm a AI trainer at Morecambe. I'm like, no, you're not. You live in Kenya. Most of them live in Africa, the Middle East, or some parts of India. But the bulk of it, the ones that are terrible, are going to be the ones, that are kind of based in around, I'm going to say, the Nigerian 411 code area. And I'm not being racist in that regards. This is a phenomenon that had started in the 90s, with these emails that would go out, and it was, oh, hey, send us $30 million. This is another implementation of that low-tech scamming that we have a very difficult time processing and preventing. But I do have confidence here that, these things are going to start being nipped, but the platforms themselves can only do so much. that's where, accountability from, I like doing this. This is kind of my little side hustle. You know, as a community of, data AI trainers, legitimate AI annotators at these platforms, it is also up to you as an everyday user to report these things when you see them. There are so many online communities of, these online annotators that are outside Facebook. I don't know necessarily about Facebook, but anyway, I would say anytime you see one of these things, report it, because the more people that report it, the sooner they get shut down. And that is going to be their lifeline. This is how they communicate and sell these things. This is how they continue to grant access and abuse the system. The platforms can only do so much. So, on that side, it's going to be up to community members, legitimate AI trainers, in order to counter that and say, hey, report this, report all of this. So anyway, yeah, I was bummed, but really just looking into this just made me realize that the abuse is rampant. It is so wide scale. Like literally, some of these people have just videos of like their weekly payouts that they get. It's insane. What are you posting? Like they're legitimately posting these jobs for remote access, leasing access to the account, and that is why people are getting flagged. Is because anything that looks even remotely like it could be a VPN or a proxy, and if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a way to redirect the traffic from your internet or from your local machine through a virtual tunnel that outputs geographically somewhere else in the world, so it makes you look, like you're in a different location. It only goes so far, particularly with the new tooling that is coming this year. Digital fingerprinting, digital profiling is about to get 10 times more advanced. But until then, the best thing that I can say about this is you have to start reporting it. You have to not just report it as one person, but, as a community thing, because they have spent the last, I don't know how many years, 2 to 3 years, tarnishing the reputation of companies like Handshake, tarnishing the reputation of companies like Outlier AI, saying that they got scammed. And really what they're doing is they are not supposed to have access. They buy illegitimate access. The accounts get flagged. This is why also support doesn't have time to deal with their actual workers, because they have to continually clean up this mess. 98% of their time is spent countering this instead of helping their legitimate workers. But yeah, that is what it is these things need to be reported. So just take a look at this group right here. 850 people. If we go over to discussions, Handshake, AI, Project Diamond, Pace, $50 an hour. Moonstone. And it's every major platform. All of the big major platforms that have legitimate projects. This is a rampant epidemic. And yeah. Anyway, I just noticed this, so I'm going to stop rambling.